Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button, guys, if you're new to the channel, and especially if you enjoyed this video. So I'm going to be quoting retired and former super middleweight champion George Groves. He said a bunch of things, and I'm going to be quoting everything he said. 6 months ago, I would have said Joshua is the best heavyweight in the division. Now he's not champion no more. You can't say Ruiz is the #1 heavyweight because I think there's a dozen people out there that beat him. After this latest performance, I'd say Wilder. Wilder is the most impressive. So out of all the heavyweights, Ruiz, Tyson Fury, Wilder. George Groves feels that Wilder is the most impressive. Now I'm going to keep quoting him. I feel Fury is fantastic at getting into opponents' heads, and that always has a bearing on his fights. I don't know if he can get into Wilder's head the same again in the rematch. If he didn't, and Wilder comes in heavier like he did against Dominic Brazil a couple of weeks ago, then it'll be a different fight because Fury might not get up from those knockdowns. So as you can see, George Groves feels that Tyson Fury is good at getting in opponent's head, which I believe he is. I mean, I felt that he got into Vladimir Klitschko's head. I don't know too much if he got into Deontay Wilder's head, but then I think I do, because Deontay Wilder said that he was trying too hard to knock out Tyson Fury. And why was he trying too hard to knock out Tyson Fury? Because he was annoyed by the things that Tyson Fury was saying, right? And that's why he said he couldn't get the knockout against Tyson Fury for the longest time. So maybe he did get, I guess he did get into Deontay Wilder's head. And I'm going to keep quoting him. Anthony Joshua is a man mountain. He's huge. Probably the hardest puncher in the world. I still believe he beats Ruiz in the rematch. Something wasn't right with him. Whatever it was, he wasn't switched on, and it took it too lightly. If he switched on, I believe he beats Ruiz. Ruiz is a good fighter with a good amateur record, but he's still 6'2" and morbidly obese. I think Joshua wins the rematch. I know Joshua is a loyal guy, but sometimes you have to make those touch sacrifices. I don't know what changes he needs to make. It might be the mentality. He might have overlooked Ruiz. He was a late change of opponent. Ruiz came in at 5 weeks. Joshua talked about Deontay Wilder all week. He wasn't switched on. But something definitely needs to change, whether it's something with Joshua or something with his team. So that's all I have to say, guys. That's what this guy right here said, George Groves. Now, you see George Groves said a few things there. The last thing he says was he was talking about how Joshua is a loyal guy and he feels that maybe he was overlooking Andy Ruiz Jr. But he talks about loyalty, and he talks about, obviously, the fact that he believes maybe Joshua needs to make a few changes. And, of course, what he was getting at was the fact that his trainer, Ron McCracken, in a video and I made in the past, I quoted, what's his name, George Groves, and he was saying in that article that, maybe he doesn't want to receive the public backlash that he would get if he were to sack somebody like his trainer, Ron McCracken. I feel that he needs to change his trainer, Ron McCracken. But again, in my last video, he's not going to change. He's not going to get rid of Ron McCracken. So I just feel that Ron McCracken just needs to improve himself as a trainer and try and show Anthony Joshua, survival skills and stuff like that. A lot of people have been saying that maybe one of the reasons he lost against Ruiz was because he was overlooking him, was because of, he had Deontay Wilder in his mind and all these other things. I personally think he lost just because styles. I believe that the style of Andy Ruiz was what did it to him. I also believe the main reason he lost was because he made that mistake where he exchanged with Andy Ruiz Jr. in close range, and that's something you don't want to do when you're much bigger and your opponent is much shorter. And I think when he did that, he gave Andy Ruiz the opportunity to knock him out. So that's what I'm saying. He needs to change his approach in the rematch. Could Anthony Joshua beat Andy Ruiz in a rematch? Yes. But he could also lose in a rematch if he fights the same way and if he makes the same mistakes he made in the first fight, where he allows Ruiz to get on the inside. Because I'm telling you right now, if he allows Ruiz to get on the inside, that means Ruiz is going to have an opportunity to land on his chin. And if he has an opportunity to land on his chin, that means he could drop him. You saw what happened in the first fight. He was up close. He dropped him several times because he was too close to him. He was too close to comfort. So that's why I'm saying this fight could go either way. Yes, Anthony Joshua will win, but if he doesn't change his approach in this rematch, he could also lose. So hopefully, for his sake at least, he comes in there and he tries to, and he's improved his technique and his game plan for this fight. Do I think that that Deontay Wilder is the most impressive? One thing I'll say about Deontay Wilder, because George Grove says that out of all these guys, out of Andy Ruiz Jr., out of Deontay Wilder, out of Tyson Fury, Deontay was the most impressive. I'll say this: he's definitely probably the most exciting when it comes to entertaining purposes. When it comes to being funny, Tyson Fury, he's exciting, but he's never been a puncher, and he tends to be in boring fights. Let's be honest here. So he's not necessarily the most exciting guy. Andy Ruiz Jr. was in a very exciting fight with Anthony Joshua, but normally he doesn't knock people out. Normally Andy Ruiz Jr. goes the distance, right? He's normally not a puncher, but obviously styles make fights, and his style and being in a fight in a close range fight with somebody like Anthony Joshua, two big punchers, you're gonna get an exciting fight. So I think when it comes to what's his name, Andy Ruiz Jr., he has to be in there with a guy who fights him on the inside, so the fight becomes very exciting. But I think if he's in there with a guy who tries to outbox him, it probably won't be as exciting because Andy Ruiz Jr. would not be able to land the punches that he would if he were up close to him. That's why I think Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Adam Konecki is a really good fight at heavyweight. Very exciting. And when it comes to Deontay Wilder, he's obviously exciting because of his punching power, right? He's a guy that in any minute, any round, he could knock you out. It could be the first round, it could be the 12th round. He has punching power that lasts the full 12 rounds, right? He's knocked guys out in round ones. He's knocked them out in rounds 12. So I think they're all evenly exciting. But I probably will lean also, just like Groves, with Deontay Wilder. But, Anthony Joshua is exciting himself. So, yeah, they're all pretty much exciting. But another interesting thing he said that Tyson Fury, he feels that if Deontay Wilder, because remember when he fought Tyson Fury the first time, he weighed like 212 pounds, no, 209 pounds. He was extremely light, and he was talking about that Deontay Wilder obviously has put on weight. I believe he was 223 when he fought Dominic Brazil, and he feels that if Deontay Wilder catches Tyson Fury with the same right hand that he caught him and the same left hook that he caught him in the first fight, at 223 pounds, because he's heavier, Tyson Fury might not get back up. So could that be true? Because remember, he's like 15 pounds heavier than he was in the Tyson Fury fight, or 14 or whatever, or 11 pounds or whatever heavier. So could that be the case? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Wilder will have to obviously land his right hand. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about that fight. I feel that Tyson Fury could probably win that fight again, but I feel that if Wilder wants it to be more competitive, I feel that he has to change his game plan. I feel that he has to stop depending on his right hand. He has to go on the inside, make it more of a street fight. Go to the body like crazy. That's something he didn't do in the first fight. He didn't go to the body enough, at least for my liking. Make it more of a competitive fight like that, and then it'll make the fight closer. Not just depend on the right hand, because like I said, the reason this fight was a draw and the reason many people felt that Tyson Fury actually won was because because the fights where he didn't the rounds where he didn't knock down Tyson Fury, he wasn't really doing much. So a lot of people just looked at that as, okay, Fury is just outboxing Deontay Wilder. So that's what I'm saying. He needs to just not depend on that right hand. And that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'm out.